Let's go to Netflix for a bit and talk about Blood and Gold, right? This is a World War II action thriller, but in a way, it's also a spaghetti western, right? Um, it's so funny about this, right? Because last week we talked about a little film called Sisu, right? A show that we absolutely enjoyed, just because
Yeah,
it just had that sort of grimy 70s exploitation slash Nazi exploitation vibe to it, right? It was just that it was within the whole John Wick mold, right? And which is funny because it's coming out of what it was released, sorry, through Lionsgate, right? But I believe it was either before or I think it was before I was tagged on the trailer for Sisu. I just keep seeing this name pop up, Blood and Gold on Netflix, Blood and Gold, Blood and Gold, right? And I watched the trailer for it, and I'll have to mention the trailer in my review of it, right? And it was purposefully done in this grindhouse style, right? If you're
right.
familiar with it, it's that whole kind of, like how 70s trailers were for action films, right? It was like Left for Dead, and that we must stop these people, and it's just that sort of exaggerated drama that comes with the trailer, and it's just all about showing you acts of violence without showing you too much, right? So you'll see like bloody and gory moments, but they'll just kind of make it look stylized and whatnot, right? Even
Right.
right down to the style of music, to the green that they put on screen. It's that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
style, right? Which Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, really put into pop culture, through the I should say the double feature Grindhouse, right?
Right.
And it's funny that I'm talking about Tarantino here, because yeah, his section of the Grindhouse double feature that would be Death Proof is kind of trash. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
even he
That's
himself will come
the
out and
that's
say
who's
it's
top
the
tier.
worst. It's the worst
Yeah,
film that he's ever put out, right?
yeah.
But anyway, but Blood and Ghoul, what is it about, right? So it's set during like the last days of World War II, right? And well, Germany is basically about to fall, right? Because the Allies are coming in and they're sweeping house, right? So we are introduced to the character of Heinrich, right? He is well, I should say a former Nazi soldier. He deserts his platoon, right?
Right.
And well, his former comrades chase after him and they gang up on him and basically hang him and leave him for dead, right? This woman by the name of Elsa, she stumbles upon him, frees him, and then carries him over to her farm. And she pretty much runs it with her brother, who is mentally challenged. His name is Paul, right?
Right.
So surprise, surprise, the Nazis show up there, and they want to start some shit. And of course, there's a big shootout. Nazis die because I mean that's what we paid to see. And well, the three heroes are forced to flee, right? But what happens that we learn later on is that there's this nearby town where this Jewish family owned this particular house. And ironically enough, they were chased by not by Nazis, but like just other Germans who were living in the area because they were anti-Semitic, right? So they were chased. The Jews were chased out of their home, and their home was burnt, right? But they had like a huge like just this cache of gold basically, right, hidden.
Right.
And we learn later on that some people who were living in the town grab the goal, and it's just a matter of it's just to show more or less it's just this MacGuffin basically. We just trying to figure out what the goal is, right? But this Nazi platoon, the same ones who was chasing after Heinrich, know about the goal, right? So they now like trying to find out where it is, right? And the leader of the group, his name is von Stanfield. I think it's Stanfeld. I think it is, right?
Right.
Yeah. Who is this creepy mofo. He has this sort of like a Phantom of the Opera esque kind of face mask kind of thing that he wears by this on one side of his face. Yeah, and just early on he's just set up to be this brutal motherfucker, right? But yeah, he's leading this team now to go and find his goal, and pretty much Heinrich and Elsa in the middle, and I'll stop here, right? So going back to the trailer, right? What I will say with this show here is that while I do understand why that style was chosen for that trailer, it does make the film a little too misleading because, like
Right.
myself, a lot of people are gonna go into this and expect something like Sisu, just something so unapologetically
Right. Right.
grimy, and it's just like pulp, like pulpy schlockiness, now.
Right. Right. Right.
And you do get that, right, in terms of the violence and the dark humor, right? And yeah, this show has a lot of dark humor in it, right? But it just ultimately just comes down to just being like an average, action thriller that's set in World War II, right? Now, just to get the good out of the way, right? I would say that it is very, very well shot. It's a German production, right? So yeah, you're hearing, German dialogue true and true, right? But I know that there's a dub version, well, you can watch it in English, but I didn't bother to. Because, well, simple reason the characters are speaking pure German, so why do I need to hear dub, right? Unless you just want to read subs, but I have no problem with that, right? But anyway,
Right.
but yeah, like visually, it looks really really good. I must say, right? It's not the most expensive movie in the world, similar to Sisu, and you can tell with like some certain visual effects and whatnot. But it still looks professional and just well put together, right? I thought that the performances were solid, especially from the guy who plays Stanfield. I thought that he was great as well, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Um, Heinrich is good as well, and I'm saying this because I'm not familiar with the actor. His name is Robert Massa, right?
Hmm.
I assume maybe he's a big deal in Germany, but I don't know, right? But yeah, he's good, right? And as I mentioned, Weston before, right? He is playing that sort of strong silent type, right? That Django kind of character, that's what he's playing basically, right? And the show itself does have that kind of vibe to it where the bad guys are really, really, really bad, and the hero will go out of his way to stop these guys,
Right.
and even if he had to get grimy with it too. But what I mean is that yeah, he will get his ass washed numerous times, right? And to the point where he literally has to like crawl his way back out of danger, right? That's where the show is going, right? Um, and while it's not as pulpy as I expected to be, it is still, a fun watch, right? Like you will still
Right.
enjoy just seeing Nazis getting gunned down, and there's some nice shootouts and some sweet kills and all that kind of stuff. You get that here, right? But my main issue with the show is the plot itself, right? And just the way how it's told. Because as I mentioned Tarantino before, yeah, this is one of those shows that's kind of wearing its influences on its sleeve, man. This is really aiming for Quentin Tarantino with a little bit of Guy Ritchie, you know what I mean? Where it's not just about a singular character. You have to have it's basically trying to tell this multi-character story, right? So it's not just about Heinrich trying to forget to mention he's trying to get back home to his family. That's his primary motivation, right? But you also have Elsa and her motivation to just stand on her own 2 feet and just stop wherever Nazi come away. There's the stuff involving the Nazi squad, and there's stuff involving Stanfield, and and then of course the whole thing about the gold and where it is and who may have it and all that kind of stuff. So it's trying to do the whole multi-character stuff, right? So the best way I could sum it up is that the title of the show is Blood and Gold, and the blood part is more interesting than gold, right? That's the
Right.
best
Right.
way I could sum it up. The gold stuff isn't really all that interesting. It's just, oh, there's some gold somewhere. Where is it? Oh, this guy has it. Okay, I'm gonna kill you and then I'm gonna take it. That's really what it is, right? But ultimately, I just really came to just see Heinrich and Elsa just kill Nazis, right? And you get that, but I felt like, and I would say honestly, around the second half, it stopped being about those two, and it just started being about this whole plot about finding gold and all that kind of stuff. And to me, that stuff just didn't interest me at all, right? I
Right.
get why it's there. I get that it's trying to sort of, flesh things out a lot more and not just have it be this, guy going up against Nazis tail, right? It just wants to be more. But I just felt like, yeah, the gold stuff just didn't wow me. It just didn't interest me in the least, right? Um, Also, again, going back to Tarantino, yes, it's trying to do the kind of, sharp dialogue. It's trying to do the quips, and it's trying to balance the brutal violence with the dark humor, and it's trying to play on certain tropes when it comes to World War films, and it's doing all these kind of things. But I felt like it just didn't do it as well. It didn't have the finesse as see a Tarantino, right?
Right.
Where he knows the genre in and out, but he could
Well, I
inject
mean,
it with so much charm
Tarantino.
and swamped it,
Yeah,
that yeah, you find yourself roped into it, even though it
yeah.
involves
But I
characters
mean,
that you hate and violence and stuff,
to be fair, Tarantino is super derivative himself. So it's like, it's just it's how well I suppose it's a matter of execution more than anything else. Because yeah, we this film's in 2023 is what 30 some odd years or 40 years Tarantino career going on now. I mean, I don't know.
True, true,
Yeah,
true, true. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, you're right, right? And I don't want to come off as harsh, but yes, I mean, I do see the Tarantino isms in this film, and I mean, I have no problem with you looking to Tarantino for inspiration. I mean,
yeah.
you
Cause
see
just last
Inglorious
week you had
Bastards. You see
just
Inglorious Bastards throughout
y-
this whole film, eh?
yeah. Cause just last week you had what you call it, that thing that was
Sisu.
pretty. Not see to the other one that you did and that was super
Or
derivative
Polite
of
Society, yeah, yeah,
right,
where it was born from Edgar Wright with a
right,
bit of
exactly,
Tarantino in it, yeah, yeah.
right,
But like in that case, while yeah, it was born from certain tropes and whatnot, right? But it still kind of fit together and it flow well, right? Here with this
yeah,
film, I just felt like again is the blood and gold. It feels literally like again two films here, two plots with some subplots there, but they don't really seem to flow all that well, right? And it kind of come to the city kills, but when it kind of stops to tell these stories about where the goal is and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it just kind of loses momentum for
right,
those moments, right? But that's not to say that you won't enjoy this film, right? And for me, I enjoyed it for what it was. But again, I just felt like that trailer was misleading because I came for the blood, I came for the the schlockiness, the exploitative vibe, and you don't really get that much of it, right? But at the same time, I don't want to be this prude and say, that you can't add depth to your subject material and whatnot, right? Like, of course, you could do that, right? But just kind of have it sort of balance where I can enjoy the Nazi killing stuff, right? Or
right,
Nazi being killed stuff, and I could also be intrigued by the gold stuff, right? But I just felt
right,
like I was
right.
more, I was more on board with the Nazi getting kill shit than the whole, gold shit. That's the best way I could sum it up, right? Um, is it better than Sisu? No, of course not, right?
Okay,
But I could
right.
see it, in the long term being this nice little double feature. I think that they will work well as a double feature. Like you put Blood and Gold first, and then afterwards, sorry, you put Sisu after. Since I would say just before I get to rating, Sisu is a more crowd pleasing, film compared to Blood and Gold. Like
Right,
Blood and Gold
right.
is cool, and you get your nice kills and whatnot, but just not enough of it to be like, yeah, man, you're gonna come out of it having a lot of fun, right? Also, lastly, just last thing before I get to reading, right? Speaking about wearing your influences on the sleeve, right? Even in the end, they add some surf rock music in the end, and like the moment I
Yeah,
heard that, I was like, oh, you're doing Pulp Fiction, you're doing the literal like end credit sequence to Pulp Fiction.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. Did not split, but okay,
Right.
that's if that's what you want to
Because
do,
I was
okay,
thinking, the problem is that if it is how much you want to borrow, and is or if it just feel like borderline plagiarism. I mean, plagiarism is a strong word here, but you get my point, right? Because it's one thing that is the music taste as well. Like you that is your music taste apply to that situation, or you're just copying from Tarantino. I get that, right? Because like
yeah.
Overlord had Nas at the end, like that was like so
Yes,
weird,
which was
right?
strange, but I
Right,
loved
but
it.
a unique song
Hmm.
for the material, right? So
Yeah,
whatever, it's up to so that kind of stuff is really make it suspect.
yeah, yeah,
On the
yeah.
filmmakers' choices and how much vision they have.
Exactly. But speaking of music, one last thing I must say though, I will say that the needle drops were pretty good, right?
Right, okay.
Because yeah, they're actually using like classic, like I'm talking more like from the 30s and 40s, right? German songs, right? To the point like I was watching the show, right? And slight spoiler, I was thinking about Danke Schön, right? Like the actual song.
Right,
And
right.
they actually play it, but it's an instrumental version of it, which I thought was pretty interesting. And where it comes into the film, I thought that was really clever as well. But yeah, even though I don't know a lot about classic German music, yeah, the needle drops were great though, and it really added to, well, again, kind of Tarantino-esque, but in that case, I could let it slide. 'Cause it's just
Right,
music,
right.
right? But yeah, I thought it fit in terms of just how the story is told. I thought that was really cool, right? So yeah, rating wise, I will give this like a decent short of 5, man. It's alright. It's alright for what it is, right?
Right, right.
Probably wouldn't remember it in a hurry though, but I would say once again, it would make for a great double feature. Like if you pair this with Sisu, yeah, you'll have a really good time. Just put this
Yeah.
one first and then Sisu afterwards, right? And
Right.
and
Right.
you'll enjoy
Right.
yourself, right? It's on Netflix right now. I really recommend watching the German version if you do care to see it. But I would say, yeah, if you're just feeling for like a World War II sort of, spaghetti western action pastiche kind of film, yeah, check it out, man. Or I should say, if you want more, like if Sisu just left you wanted more of just seeing Nazis getting fucked up in the worst ways, yeah, give Blood and Gold a watch, man. Worth it, worth it.
Yeah.